I'm sure everyone here has seen a car race. Even if you haven't been to one in person, you've probably seen them on TV. Whether it's motorcycles or cars, the speed on the track is always exciting. The more exciting it is, the more people love racing. That's why Formula One is one of the top 3 sports in the world. Speaking of speed and passion, have you ever seen an airplane race? I don't mean an air show, but a real race to see who is the fastest. Competitors bring their own modified planes, and the winner is the one who finishes the course in the least amount of time. It sounds crazy, right? With everyone focused on speed, extreme modifications and expert flying skills are essential. For a pilot, failing to manage every single detail can often lead to terrible tragedies. The Reno Air Races, also called the National Championship Air Races, started in 1964. It was founded by a World War II veteran named Bill Stead and was first held at the Sky Ranch Airport in Nevada. In 1966, it moved to the Reno Airport. The event is famous for being the fastest motor sport in the world, drawing top pilots and aviation fans from everywhere. There are 6 classes of competition, but the unlimited class gets the most attention. The planes in this class are mostly modified World War II fighters, sometimes flying faster than 500 miles per hour, which shows how dangerous it is. The history of the Reno Air Races has had its share of problems. From 1964 to 2010, 19 pilots died during the races. In 2007, 3 pilots died in different crashes over just 4 days, which stopped the races for a day. Even so, the air racing community continued the event. The races are not just for the fans, they also help the local economy a lot, bringing about $80 million to Reno every year. However, a terrible crash in 2011 deeply affected the event's safety and future, casting a long shadow over it. Reno hosted the 47th Air Races. The event drew thousands of spectators and pilots to the Stead Airport. One of the competitors was 74-year-old Jimmy Leeward, an experienced pilot and movie stuntman from Ocala, Florida. Leeward had been competing in the Reno Air Races since the 1970s. He flew a highly modified P51 Mustang fighter jet named the Galloping Ghost. This plane was built in 1944 and was a retired U.S. Air Force fighter. After being retired, it underwent many modifications, making it one of the fastest planes in the unlimited class. Leeward was confident about the 2011 race. The day before, he told a TV station, while standing in front of his plane, that they were ready to show their hand. His competitive spirit and vast experience made him a favorite among the crowd and other pilots. The unlimited race course was an 8.5-mile oval marked by 50-foot-tall pylons. The spectators' stands and box seats were located on one side of the course, giving the audience a close-up view of the high-speed flight. The race started normally, but as the Galloping Ghost was on its 3rd lap and approaching pylon number 8 at about 530 miles per hour, the plane suddenly pitched up, rolled over, and dived. It then crashed into the spectator area at over 400 miles per hour, hitting the tarmac near the box seats. With a loud bang, the plane hit the box seats directly. The impact was so violent that the plane disintegrated instantly, sending debris flying like blades into the crowd. Because the fuel scattered on impact, there was no fire. Witnesses described the scene as chaotic and terrifying. A former Canadian pilot, Robert Mitchell, recalled that when the debris flew, they just stared until they realized it was coming right at them. A spectator named Larry Krause, who was right below the plane, was severely injured. His right hand was severed, his left leg and foot were crushed, his skull was fractured, and he had extensive shrapnel wounds. He later described the scene as looking like a war zone. Jimmy Leeward and 10 spectators died at the scene. Another 69 people were seriously injured, many hit by the flying debris. Among them was a family of 4. The mother, Cherry Erwin, died instantly. The father, Chuck Erwin, their son, Brian Erwin, and daughter-in-law, Linda Erwin, all lost limbs. This tragedy deeply shocked everyone present and the entire air racing community. Many spectators were friends and family of the pilots. The National Transportation Safety Board (NTSB) began its investigation the day after the crash. Investigators used hundreds of photos and dozens of videos from spectators, along with evidence from the crash site and the plane's wreckage, to piece together what happened. Their final report concluded that the main cause of the crash was a failure in the elevator trim tab system. It wasn't stiff enough, which caused a flutter at very high speeds. The report pointed out that the lock nuts on the left elevator trim tab had not been replaced since 1985. The worn threads couldn't hold the screw properly. Over time, the loose screw caused fatigue cracks. During the high-speed flight, this lack of stiffness led to the trim tab fluttering. The subsequent elevator movement put extreme aerodynamic stress on the aircraft, causing it to pitch up violently. Investigators estimated that Leeward experienced about 17 Gs of vertical acceleration, which would have made him lose consciousness instantly. You might not know what 17 Gs of acceleration feels like. Vertical acceleration, or force, is normally 9.8 meters per second squared. If a person weighs 70 kg, the pressure on them would be like 17 times their own body weight, which is about 190 kg or 2 tons pressing down on them. An untrained person usually blacks out at 5 Gs. Fighter pilots, with special suits and training, can handle 9 Gs for a short time, which is the limit for most fighter jets. A fighter jet's limit is determined by its structural strength. If a person is subjected to 17 Gs of vertical acceleration, their blood shifts rapidly. When accelerating upwards, blood is pulled to the lower body, causing a lack of oxygen to the brain. When accelerating downwards, blood rushes to the head, which can cause retinal hemorrhaging. Internal organs can also rupture due to inertia, and bones and muscles are at risk of breaking. To survive, one would need to be exposed for an extremely short time, on the order of milliseconds. In real life, the ejection seat of a fighter jet like the F-16 can produce 14 to 16 Gs, but only for a fraction of a second. While the mechanical failure of the elevator trim tab system was the main cause of the crash, several other factors played a role. First, the Galloping Ghost had undergone dozens of modifications during its racing career, and many of these were not documented or tested. For example, the wings were shortened, reducing the wingspan by 10 feet. A fixed right trim tab reduced drag but also lowered stability. The cooling system was also changed from a water-based system to a traditional radiator, which further altered the plane's performance. These modifications generally made the plane lighter. During the race, Leeward was flying at his fastest ever, reaching 530 miles per hour, or about 80-50 cars. This was about 64 km faster than his previous speeds. At such high speeds, the airframe was under immense stress. The fuselage behind the wings bent, and a gap even appeared between the fuselage and the canopy. Evidence of this was found in high-resolution photos taken by spectators. It's no wonder the Galloping Ghost was one of the fastest planes in the history of the unlimited class. These modifications also pushed it beyond its original design limits. The NTSB emphasized that such aggressive modifications require thorough engineering evaluation and flight testing, which this aircraft had not fully undergone. Additionally, the NTSB pointed out that the Federal Aviation Administration (FAA) did not enforce its own safety guidelines, which required a minimum distance of 1,000 feet between the racecourse and the spectator area. The actual distance at the accident site was about 750 feet. This means if the required distance had been followed, the Galloping Ghost would have crashed in an empty area instead of into the spectator stands. The 2011 crash had a lasting impact on the Reno Air Races and the aviation community. Race organizers canceled the rest of the 2011 event. The NTSB issued safety recommendations, including requiring engineering evaluations for heavily modified aircraft, improving safety for spectators and staff near the course, providing hygiene training for pilots, evaluating the gear pilots wear, and tracking the resolution of aircraft defects during per-race technical inspections. The Reno Air Racing Association (RA) took these recommendations seriously and made several improvements, such as increasing the distance between the racecourse and spectator areas and introducing stricter per-race inspections. However, the crash also had economic consequences. The event's insurance costs skyrocketed, and attendance dropped in the following years. These factors, along with urban development around the Reno Airport, led the RA to decide to move the event to Roswell, New Mexico, after 2024. In the aviation community, many pilots and spectators questioned the future of air racing. Some called for stricter regulations or even an end to the sport. However, others, like victim Larry Krause, strongly supported continuing the races. Despite losing a hand and a foot in the crash, he said he planned to return to Reno to watch the races while smoking a cigar and drinking a margarita. The accident also led to numerous lawsuits. Victims' families and injured spectators filed claims for over $25 million against the RAA, Leeward's company, and other parties. As the air races prepare to move to Roswell, New Mexico, the new location is seen as a fresh start, allowing the sport to continue while remembering the lessons from past tragedies.